Audio Jungle.
Will help in reducing clutter in your network by limiting multicast or broadcast traffic, and this is something which will only apply on egress traffic, that is traffic going out from the switches, not coming into the switches. The next is HTTP, which is it will help you get rid of loops in your network, so that is something which can also be configured using port profiles. Okay, LLDP MED, once it's that is something which is used for VoIP phones. So you can, if you're having a voice profile for a switch, so if you're deploying a switch which has multiple VoIP phones connected to it, you can enable LLDP MED and assign that profile on all the ports where the VoIP phones are connected, and the voice phones will it will automatically be placed into the particular voice VLAN. The rate limit is basically a kind of an ACL which will limit your traffic that is going out from the switch. So instead of doing it on the router, you can do it on a per port basis by creating profiles here. Let's move to services. Right, so this is where the users would be created. All the users for Wi-Fi or L2TP or PPTP connection can be created here. So when you create a new user, you have an option of specifying the name, the password, and the VLAN. If you're using radius assigned VLAN for wireless or wired, you can even specify the VLAN ID. So those users will that are connecting using that particular username and password will automatically placed into the particular VLAN on the AP or on the switch. Right. In DHCP, it's the same options that I told you about. You have an option to enable USG as a DHCP server and the DNS forwarder. There's an option for DHCP relay if you're using the third-party DHCP server, and there is DHCP options which you can use for any devices. Dynamic DNS is for setting up a host name or a FQDN that will help resolve to your USG's public IP. That is, if you're using some devices that rely on FQDN or host names, you can set up DDNS over here. Mdns is multicast DNS, mostly used by Apple devices or any devices that rely on multicast data. So if you're having multiple VLANs and if you want the MDNS traffic to go from one VLAN to another, you can enable the MDNS service. Right, so the next is, can you go back to services? Okay, so UPnP, SNMP is if you're having SNMP server, you can create the settings over here. I do not have an SNMP server, so I won't be able to show you how it works. The next is UPnP. So this is a global option. So once you have enabled here, the settings will be enabled, but ultimately it will depend upon the settings that you create in your networks. When you're creating your network, let's say a corporate or a guest, or only if you enable UPnP, UPnP will be enabled for the network, not otherwise. NTP is the NTP server, that is network time. So this is something which will be used by all the adopted devices to synchronize the time. So that is how the alerts or the notifications will work. Schedule upgrades is something which will help you upgrade all the devices simultaneously instead of having to do them manually. So once you create a schedule, you can just select the time at which you want the schedule to run, and all the devices that are adopted in the controller will be upgraded. Right. The next option in settings is admins. This is where you can create multiple admins for your controller. So you can either create a super admin, an administrator, or a read-only account. So a read-only account basically won't be able to make any changes. Just view the controller, the stats. That is it. The super admin account is someone which will have all the rights or make any changes in the controller. User group I've already covered. It is something which will be used to limit speeds on the AP. So if you have multiple SSIDs, you can set a user group for each SSID.
Thanks. I think that's pretty much covers a lot of the settings, and I know people may have a lot of questions right now. So we'll have questions towards the end. We'll wrap up pretty soon. Just want to quickly talk about the various. I mean, I think he's spoken about the various options here, but I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But we also do have a map settings here, wherein you can actually upload your own floor plan and see what the heat map would look like. You can go ahead and place devices. You can edit floor plans. So you can edit floor plans and even place devices here. So definitely recommend you to check this out. This is a great way for you to plan. This is a great way for you to plan your UniFi network. You can see what it would look like. You can even change things like the wall width and the wall material, etc. So something cool to look at, and especially as someone who's planning the network, and I saw a lot of questions about which devices to use and how many devices to use. This is something that is great to have in that sense. So I'm going to move back to the presentation now. Again, anyone can always go to demo.ui.com. Once you go to demo.ui.com, you will be able to just view exactly what Pranav just showed you guys and see the entire controller. So it's a great opportunity for you to check out a lot of the different options that the controller has. So these options include various dashboard options, ways to see your entire network, ways to see statistics of the different traffic that you have. You can look at all your devices and manage the devices remotely. You can manage the clients remotely. And also there's a lot of different things you can do in terms of looking at nearby neighboring access points that aren't part of your network. So some might even refer to these as rogue access points, but here we call them neighboring access points. So just want to talk a little bit just about some different programs we have for India, and then we're gonna open the floor up to questions. I know it's already been 2 hours, so some people might have to leave. So I'll just talk about a few more things and then wrap it up, and then we'll stay on for some questions that people have. So we do have a partnership program. I'll be sending you an email about that. So if you're a system integrator, you're in India, definitely a great program to be a part of. It gives you priority access to the Ubiquity team. And as we come up with new products and new product samples and free merchandise, we'll be sending you things. We also have a Facebook page which we can keep highlighting your deployments on. So if you want to submit a case study, for example, it's definitely a great place to do it. Don't worry about this. I'll send you more information on how to register to be a partner. We also have our Facebook page. So definitely recommend liking our Facebook page because we're constantly posting about new reviews, new products, and very interesting information on there that will help you with your network deployments. And we also have a lot of case studies. So if you want to submit a case study to the Ubiquity community, you can submit a case study and you can just reach out to me. You can email india@ui.com and I can help you write up a case study, which we can then publish. For example, you see, we published this case study of an office space in Indore recently, and it's already gotten 5,000 plus views. So it's a great place for you to also get your name out there. You can put your company's name there, your personal name there, and it's a great way for the Ubiquity community to also see all the great work that you're doing with Ubiquity devices. Finally, also want to introduce you to help.ui.com. I'm just going to take you to it pretty quickly. Help.ui.com is kind of the first place you should be going to if you have any questions about kind of any issues with Ubiquity. So let me just go there. So you can simply go to help.ui.com and you can access a lot of the different help topics that we have. A lot of the things Pranav was talking about actually are available on help.ui.com. Let me see why this is not working. Sorry, just a minute. You can simply go to help.ui.com. You can select what device you're having an issue with. So say, for example, if you're having an issue with UniFi, you can select UniFi network. And there are lots of different questions here. So most of the questions that are currently being asked on the chat actually can be very, very easily found on your help.ui.com. And there are some really great help articles that we've written to help you through them. So definitely recommend checking this out. In addition to help.ui.com, you can also go to a community page. That's community.ui.com. And there you can also post a lot of questions. You can create a topic and post questions that you may have about your own deployments. So these are lots of questions that people are asking. Every few hours you have new questions, and we have our engineers on here answering questions as well. You can also check out stories. You can see what different Ubiquiti deployments other people around the world have done. And you can also try and get ideas and post suggestions, or you can even post your own Ubiquiti deployments out here. So for example, this is an office deployment that someone has posted, and people can comment on them.